Hi everyone, this is Envy, and I'm going over the Alone in the Darkness achievement on Yogg-Saron. This is 25 man, and we did it with 24 people. Now, this is actually one step further than what is required for the Proto-Drake, but we had an almost completely full group of level 85s and figured we'd give it a try. If you are doing the One Light in the Darkness achievement, you can choose any one of the Keepers of Ulduar to assist you in the fight, but because we did Alone in the Darkness, we didn't have help from any of the Keepers. Now, not having help from any of the Keepers limits the group to basically their own DPS abilities, because they don't have any of the extra passive damage abilities that they give. But with a group of mostly 85s, we already had DPS exceeding the requirements for the raid, so it really wasn't that big of a deal. The only downside to not having any of the Keepers help you out is you couldn't regenerate any of your sanity, because we didn't have Freya's sanity well buff. But we managed just fine. It took us 2 attempts and we got it down. So phase 1, you see Sarah in the middle of the room. The tank picks up the Guardians of Yogg-Saron and we kill them near her until it transitions to phase 2. In phase 2, we told the group to move around Yogg-Saron clockwise to kill the various tentacles. The Crusher and Corruptor tentacles are both marked with the smoky circles around them. Around the Crusher tentacles, this AoE effect reduces physical damage, and around the Corruptor tentacles, this AoE effect reduces spellcaster damage. But at level 85, it doesn't really make much of a difference. They all go down pretty quickly. But it is important to make sure that you keep an eye out for the Constrictor tentacles, and make sure they're not squeezing any of your raid members to death. Alright, so 1 minute into phase 2, the brain portals spawn. A couple of DPS, including myself, and 1 healer go into the brain. There are a couple different versions of the inside of the brain, so yours might look a little bit different if you go in. But there's always going to be some tentacles that are disguised as neutral NPCs. Once you attack the NPCs, they show their true form and you kill the tentacles. Near each NPC is a floating laughing skull that will cast a spell called Lunatic Gaze on anyone facing them. This reduces your sanity by 2 every second. This is where players can easily lose a lot of their sanity and make it difficult to get through the rest of the fight without going insane. So it's important to keep your back to the skulls as much as possible while killing the tentacles. Once all the tentacles have been killed, a door opens to Yogg-Saron's brain and you can attack it. Your time inside the brain room is limited by its cast of Induce Madness. Anyone still in the brain room when the cast finishes will automatically lose all remaining sanity, so you need to either get the brain down to 30% health and transition into phase 3, or just get out of the brain room before the cast finishes. At level 85, we were able to get the brain down to 30% health in 1 visit to the brain room. Click on the portal to get out, and we can see that it has transitioned into phase 3, and Yogg-Saron is no longer protected. The main ability to watch out for here is his Lunatic Gaze, which again will reduce your sanity if you're facing him while he's casting it. Healers can have their back to Yogg-Saron during the entirety of phase 3 to mitigate this, but DPS will need to actually turn around when he starts casting it. Since we didn't have Thorm's Titanic Storm buff, we couldn't kill any of the Immortal Guardians as they came out in phase 3, so the tank basically picked them up and held them while the DPS blew all cooldowns and basically just nuked the boss. We did have a few raid members who ended up going insane, probably because they weren't turning around during the Lunatic Gaze, but it was only a few people and not enough to really do any damage to the group. We were able to ignore them and make sure we got Yogg-Saron down. Alright, so that is Yogg-Saron and the Alone in the Darkness achievement. This is definitely a pretty complex fight, and I recommend getting as many people as you can, or a full group if possible. If you're going for this or the Drake achievement. Anyway, I hope this video gave you a good look at the fight and all the mechanics. Please comment and rate if it helped you. Thanks.